CCCECC review today before you do your timed write on the Odyssey. You can choose to listen to this and then pause one step at a time, but we're going to take a look at the CCCECC. So remember the acronym CCCECC. Remember that this first C stands for claim, second one clarify, third one context, fourth one evidence, fifth one comment, and sixth one conclude. Let's review those. So our claim, remember, is the information that you're presenting, the point you want to persuade your audience. So basically, it is the simple answer to whatever the prompt question is. So if we take a look at the prompt question that you're going to be writing about, it is basically this. Which story in part 2 most reveals the thematic concept of intelligence and skill winning out over physical strength or power? And then you have to think about how that theme is present in that story, and that becomes your paragraph. So your first sentence should be the short answer to that question in a single sentence. The rest of the paragraph is going to elaborate on that through the other CCECC. So the next one is clarify. Next sentence. So to clarify, it means that you want to add more information to the claim. So this clarification could include more information about the claim, like what specifically about the story shows that. It could be defining a word or phrase from the claim, like for example, in the story, what that you are presenting, what represents the intelligence and skill, or it could be what represents the physical strength or power, or it can add details to help prove your claim. You need to come up with the example to go with that, adding more details about the claim. So it's clarifying information in the claim. The next one is context. Now, context, I always say that it provides an anchor for the quote or the evidence or the research that you're using. Meaning, if it's literature like this is, it includes the plot background leading up to the moment that you're going to use to show that intelligence and skill wins out over physical strength and power, or character information. So it kind of gives you the background that we need. So if you are providing something from one of the stories, you want to say what happened right before that moment in time that leads us to that moment. That's your context sentence. If it's research, remember, it includes the background information about the source, but this is literature, so we're going to be doing that. Your quote or your research or your evidence, however you want to look at it, could be a direct quote from the story that illustrates your point. So you find something that Homer wrote that shows that idea of skill or intelligence. Or you summarize it, paraphrase it in your own words, and you provide support for the story. It includes an MLA citation at the end, which is the author's last name and the page or paragraph number. In the case of the Odyssey, remember who the author is? Homer. And then you want to include what page and line number you found that. Okay. That's the quote or evidence with a citation. Lastly, or second to last, the comment is where you explain that quote or that piece of evidence or that moment, how it shows the claim. So if you've chosen a moment, you have to explain specifically why does that moment show physical or intelligence and skill over physical strength. And explain what's meant by that quote if you use a quote instead of just evidence. So you could define words or terms in the quote, or you could do further points of support that goes from that quote. And then finally, there is conclude. So conclude is your big picture connection to the claim. So in the case, you want to bring the claim home as a final argument. Don't just repeat that claim like, that's why this story shows the theme the best. No. What I would suggest you do for your concluding sentence in this paragraph is to explain exactly what Homer wants us to learn about intelligence and skill winning out over physical strength and power. Why is that such an important concept for him to teach us? Okay, so on your paper, you will see that your theme, or that what you're going to be writing about in your paragraph, is the triumph of intelligence or skill over physical strength and power. You need to choose one of the stories in part 2 to show this story mostly shows this. And you want to use specific lines or events from that story to support your answer, following the CCCECC format, and explaining basically why you think that story is the best one to show that. All right, so you're going to write your answer right here in the space provided. You'll find this on Schoology. And this is how you're going to be graded. Good luck, and take the rest of the class to write your response.